All right, we are back with a new situation. AI bros want to be artists. Part who knows how many times I've made this video and used this title, but it's like a series now. This one has been very intriguing actually. This came across my feed yesterday and it's just blown up really big, and it's a interesting one because I believe that this is someone who is probably an artist, right? But they swapped to use an AI, or their artwork is extremely AI assisted. And a lot of the things they've tried to do to disclaim or disprove and try to prove that they're not using AI has all backfired on them greatly. It's actually a crazy situation. Um, I don't even know why let's just get into it, dog. So I originally started with this post that I came across, and it said, being extremely talented and still choosing to use AI to help with rendering. They said, is he a fucking genius? And I was like, what are we talking about here? And then I saw this, and this is the post itself. Let's go take a big looky look at what this is. It says, tell me to grow wings and let's fly out of this stupid town. And then hashtag Deltarune. This got 2.8 million views. And this is the said artwork in question that they have made. And yeah, a lot of people looked at it and they're like, wow, this looks interesting. This looks pretty amazing. This is some wild stuff. And so they were like, all right, you're cooking pretty hard. But of course, just like anything, once you start to reach a high amount of views, you will start to get scrutinized pretty heavily if you're someone that doesn't have a large portfolio, a track record, anything that people can actually look at to see how you got to said skill. So for example, go to this artist page. Allegedly, they're 20 years old. And they have 3,700 followers, which that could have been a lot of from this current art piece that they posted, but they're 20 years old and they don't have any portfolio realistically to actually look at for the most part. That you can't see any actual trace of their previous artwork other than I guess over the past couple months. Now, does that immediately make a red flag? No. And in this case, this artist does try to show, or at least provide some form of proof, that they have been drawing for a very long time and that they just didn't post any of it at all. The problem is, what they have shared doesn't really equal to something like this. And it really starts to make a lot of people wonder what exactly is going on. And there are some things that we're going to go over, some new terms today, that's also going to make this look even worse, because there are a lot of things that people who start to do AI assisted stuff or using AI for their artwork, there are some things that start to show off, such as synth ID, which for people who start using AI in any way, shape, or form, they're starting to get caught because of it, because they don't actually know about it. But we'll get to that a little bit later into the video. First, let's go over the actual explanation that this artist gives. Someone says, oh, looks so beautiful. Can you make a speed art, please? I shared this peak with people, but one of them asked, is this AI? I can't tell anymore. And they said, thank you so much. I'm flattered. About AI and speed paints, I have a video in my profile. I will duplicate it here. And so this is supposed to be one of their videos trying to clear them of all accusations and allegations. They also have another video which is going to go over this piece itself, which we'll get to in a little bit, but we'll start with this one first.
Some people said that I used AI for my drawings. They are confused by the speed of my work and the fact that I don't post speed paints. First, I'll explain about speed paints. I turn them off because my fucking iPad explodes if I record video at the same time, since I draw in high resolution from 5,000 pixels. Now there will be a fucking edit of my work because I have been drawing for 10 years and graduated from college with a degree in design, and I work as a designer.
Now I'll stop there real quick because I have seen some comments pointed out, and I guess depending on how you want to view time gaps, age gaps, depending on how you want to look at it, when you go to their actual profile, you'll see up here that they say that, again, as I mentioned earlier, they're allegedly 20 years old. And then in this video, they put right here that they've been drawing for 10 years, which is fine. You've been drawing since you're 10. I mean, there are people who have drawn since they were kids, right? But then they say they graduated from college with a degree in design, and then they are also working as a designer. And then, I mean, if you are actually 20 years old, which of course it could be fake, right? No one says you have to put your real age on the internet. But some people have made comments and looked at it like, you're 20 years old and you already got a degree. You've been drawing for 10 years. You already working as a designer at a company. I can see why people are, skeptical of it. Whether or not you believe that, it's going to be up to you. But I know that is one thing that some people have pointed out that, I mean, yeah, I guess you could look at, but it also doesn't really prove anything because, again, no one says they have to put their actual real information out there. But again, why would you put that you're 20 years old online if you're not actually 20? I don't know what that does for you at the end, but it is what it is. Continue on. Now, for this next part, they play obnoxious, loud, copyrighted music, so I'm not even going to bother playing that part out loud. You can just see in the montage that they show for their artwork that they're showing that they've started. This was back in 2018 to 2020. You can see the years going by of them just doing different things, or at least this is supposed to be their archive showing proof that they have been drawing for a very long time and that this is all actually stuff that they have made. So we're just going through their little montage real quick. You can take a look, see if you actually believe what they're showing, if it's actually things that they have produced, if it matches the quality. Their latest artwork, the show's 2024 right here, but past that, you can't actually see anything else. There's no actual dates shown. So whether or not you believe that there's something to be seen in terms of their latest work in 2026, or if any of this happens to be from 2025 or 2026, that is going to be up to you. It's also in the same vein that a lot of people are going to be like, hey, you made this, you recently posted this, but when you look through your time lapse or your proof that you haven't been using AI, that you have something just doesn't add up. Because the quality, let's be really real, it's not even sugarcoat. We know that the quality is nowhere near the same. Like, when we look at some of this stuff and see that if this is supposed to be their latest work, if it's going by chronological order in terms of oldest to newest, if you're looking at some of that and then you go back to look at this, it's definitely night and day difference. Massive jump in skill quality, massive difference, but there's still more. They have been already talked about that as well too. They had some things to say in regards to that. So we're going to definitely go over that as well too. But before we get to that, let's see what some comments say. One person said, "You don't seriously believe that the skill shown in the video corresponds to what you posted, do you?" And someone said, "Yeah, I'm not really believing this either. The frequency of the output is not believable to me whatsoever, and the stuff shown in the video isn't close to the quality of their current work." And they said, "There's no need to second guess. It's pretty certain. It's just funny when it's so blatantly obvious due to the skill gap, but I suppose it's because of that they don't realize that it's obvious, and by extension, neither do most non-artists." They said they just posted this. "I feel so much more confident about this video." And they said the sketch in this video further solidifies that they're using AI, does not reflect the skill level, and is also weird and here at all. And the fact that they're claiming that this is a render in the same quality should say enough. And so we're going to take a look at that video right now because I know you're definitely wanting to see that one. This is supposed to be their proof that what they made is actually what they made themselves. And it's oh boy, it's definitely a video, all right, dog. So this is their next post, and they said, "I don't want my account to become a constant cycle of proving my art isn't AI generated. I've already made videos about it, and some people still won't believe me, and that's okay. So I'm going to keep creating what I enjoy. The last proof I'll offer is a live art stream on Twitch," which, oh boy, we're going to talk about that one because I actually do have some issues with that one. But that's later in the video. First, let's start with this one, them addressing the entire situation and going over that. Actually, before we even begin, I'm just going to mute this. They're using that text to speech bullshit. Takes 20,000 years just for anything to even be said on the screen. I'm just going to read it myself. So they start off by saying, "Hi everyone, since this drawing caused quite a stir with people claiming it was made with AI, I want to break down everything I was asked about in the comments once again." So let's move forward. They said, "For this drawing, I used a 3D reference. I traced it, and as you can see, made some changes to it afterwards." Now, a lot of people have already been clowning on this for one reason, and one reason in particular is because of the 3D models used. Typically, when you're going to use 3D models, it would make some sense in terms of body proportions, or at least being somewhat accurate. Does it have to be in a sense? No, but it does look pretty sketch. It looks pretty questionable when you put it like this. You look at this is the final artwork, and then this is supposed to be what they use as like their, all right, here's my what I traced, these are the 3D models I used. And of course it can always be argued as well too that if you're someone who is producing something of this quality, of this actual caliber, then you could easily use something like this and adjust it greatly, because of course where she is supposed to be right here, her legs are all the way down there. They of course obviously adjusted the proportions, legs are up there, he's all the way down there now, the arms are kind of like raised up like this. It was changed drastically. And I mean, they say they made some changes, but I mean, it's pretty much a vast difference in changes. But again, just because you use a 3D models like this and these are the actual proportions, it doesn't necessarily automatically equal a red flag in terms of, oh, well, since these models look like this and this is what it looks like, they're not even remotely similar, but they said they traced it. Something it doesn't add up. I mean, if you're skilled enough, you can easily use these as guidelines and baselines, and unless we actually see the layers itself on how they traced it, it's hard to make any assumptions, because we don't know if they traced it 1-to-1 or they used it as guidelines and they only just did an outline of the bodies. You know, it's really hard to tell, but I do think it still is a valid, you know, concern, and it's something to question, but it isn't a definitive proof that, oh, well, they're using AI or anything of that caliber. And the only reason I mention that as well too is because people look at this as a situation of, all right, well, and there's actually proof of this later on, I'm kind of spoiling it, but people are looking as they just put some 3D models here, and then this is supposed to be now their proof that they were using 3D models the entire time. But the whole reason I gave a whole long yap session just now was just to explain that just because 3D models might not 100% add up in 1-to-1 for the final product, doesn't exactly mean that it wasn't used. It just depends on how you use said 3D models. But in this case, it doesn't really work that well, and you're about to see why. So continuing on with this video, now we move on to them showcasing a drawing of this character, I guess from Deltarune, and this is how they actually drew them, and then how they get to the actual render. And they're pretty much showing like, hey, if you guys don't think I can actually render at that quality, here's your proof. What are you guys gonna say now? And so this is what it looks like from here, and then because it's so long, we'll just fast forward. And they said, don't worry, I'll post a full speed paint too. I just attached this one as an example. I don't know if I ever found a full one, but yeah, this is supposed to be them showcasing that this right here is pretty much equivalent to this right here. Whether or not you believe that, whether or not you think that this is the same type of quality, same type of render, and that they're actually achieving that, it's up to you to decide. And then continuing on this video, then they point to this. This is done in 2025. They say, to address the point about the 2-year gap during which I didn't produce many drawings, I realized it looks suspicious. However, it is entirely possible to level up your skills over 2 years. I was working hard on my thesis, and for the past 1.5 years, I've been working as a designer. I've also studied color theory and the like while simultaneously training my eye. So this is supposed to be their proof of them working on I guess a very small handed draws, and then this is them, I guess, doing design work or studying color theory. I don't really know. I'm gonna be honest, even I'm kind of stumped at this. I guess it's supposed to be them showcasing the designer aspect of their life of things they've been working on. Not entirely sure, but and then they continue off by saying, I am fully willing to accommodate anyone who still doesn't believe me by streaming a full work session on Twitch if that interests you, and saving a stream recording, which we'll get to a little bit later in the video. And then they say, thank you for watching. I completely understand your outrage and suspicious. I'm ready to prove everyone that I was the one who did it. If you have questions, I am ready to answer them all in the comments. Now, to give a little bit of context behind this post I'm about to show you, for those that don't know, the artist apparently has a Telegram. I didn't know this is apparently a popular thing. I guess maybe this is just depending on where the artists are at, or just different communities. I now have learned that apparently artists are running Telegrams, and they have like groups, and people are all hanging out and chilling in there. I'm not going to make one, but this artist in question has a Telegram, and this is supposed to be her proof that this is, more evidence showcasing them making this artwork up there. Let's take a look. This is their 26-second proof video. So they got 3 layers. Okay, off to a great start. We got the 3D models that we showed in the earlier time lapse. Cool. And then this is supposed to be them showcasing how, I guess, they get from the 3D models to that. They're showing how it lines up, how it adds up together, and then you can see the different changes they made. And then they showed them, I guess, adding the halo at the end. That was like the final change. That was like the final tweaks that they added. And then they're showcasing when the project was made, which makes no sense. I don't know why you're showing this, dog. Why? I'll tell you. This says date created July 11th, 2026. Brother, this artwork was posted July 9th, 2026. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You look like an absolute fucking moron doing this as your form of proof. That literally shows nothing at all. Do you want people to believe that this was all made on one layer? You made all this on one layer, and then the halo is just another one, but that one's like, it's literally just the same file, but I guess you drew on top of that one. What are we doing here? It's not, here's the thing. I know some people like to go in the comment sections and they'll be like, oh man, I do that. I do that all the time. Congratulations. It's fine. If you have a track record, here's the thing that a lot of artists don't really understand whenever you watch videos like these, or you see a lot of posts, and you see a lot of, let's say, artists critiquing something. Yes, on one hand, art is very vast. There are a lot of different techniques. There are a lot of methods, but typically form follows function. There is going to be some way to see from beginning to end how you get to set a result. There's going to be some logic behind it that you can trace and look at and see, all right, I see how they got there. Weird, or I wouldn't do that personally, but I get it. It makes sense, at least in the grand scheme of things. Also, on top of that, typically whenever these call out posts do happen, just like I've seen before in some other videos, sometimes people get really confused or don't really understand it, is you got to remember that there's more context than just what you see right on that exact screen. Remember, there are other factors that you have to consider, again, such as post history. How much have they posted? What is the timeline of their artwork as it has improved and gotten better? What is the jump in quality? How much has it improved? Etc., etc. It's not just that one specific thing. A lot of artists tend to get very hyper focused and very narrow minded on, oh, well, I do that very one specific thing. Are they going to accuse me of AI now? No, as long as you're actually making artwork, you got a track record of artwork, you're just making stuff. One little thing is not just enough to make one red flag and say, oh, you're AI, bro. That's not how it works. You got to remember, there are a lot of things that factor into this that start to really add up, which makes a small thing turn into a big thing, because now you got a bunch of small red flags end up one big red flag. I don't know if I explained that great enough, but the point is, if you do one very specific thing you see in these videos, it doesn't automatically mean that now you're a walking red flag and, oh boy, you better watch out, Buster. No, it's not. Relax, calm down. I promise it's not that serious. Anyways, that's where that time lapse ended. You can see right here, it says 3 layers, files created on the evening of July 11th, even though the art was posted on July 9th. Pathetic excuses in her Telegram channel, but not on Twitter. That's all you need to know about her AI skills. And then scrolling down, this is facts, right? It says, I'm crying. Why the halo layer just a copy and paste of the original image? This was the halo painted on. Like, why? Who did these people think they're fooling? LMAO. Yeah, that's like the biggest red flag as well too. Like, what are we trying to prove? What are we trying to prove with that? That literally proves nothing whatsoever. It just looks worse. It looks literally bad. Like, okay, so what? You duplicated your finished artwork and then you drew the halo then on the next one? Okay, sure. All right then, buddy. Okay, all right. Some other comments. Someone said this layer formatting isn't natural at all, and I say this as someone who murdered this layers like a psychopath. And so these are some of the layers right here from some of their other artwork, or at least from that artist's artwork. Another person said, fucking called it because Noel's eyebrows are not consistent. She's not looking at Chris' bottom right of her dress merged into one piece of cloth, and I don't know how to express this, but AI art almost always has this weird grainy and blurry look that someone enlarged a small JPEG file. Someone said, an artist is skilled had trouble drawing the same face, or is it actually AI? So she creates a new perfect face every time, and for proof, she shows a duplicated canvas instead of the original, which she obviously will never show. And why keep 3D models on the duplicate? And so this is supposed to be some more information in regards to the situation. So someone said right here, said, excuse me, but what happened to Noel's face then? You used to draw her completely different in picture 3. She may still look somewhat similar, but the shape of her face is entirely different. I understand that it happens that a character's facial features may change from drawn to drawn, but not by that much. and says, yeah, I get you drew up that Noelle's chin, and why is she suddenly wearing a braid in the last drawing? Is it because of those old anime with the triangles? And they said, that's quite an observation, and thanks for writing a detailed and well-argued comment. The first picture I drew Noelle's face from memory, and it turned out to be more human-like because I was looking at how other artists draw it and trying to adapt that to my style. And the last one, I tried to make it more canon, closer to the original, and I had problems with drawing one face. And then right here, you can see another conversation going in regards to the proof that they showed that they worked on that Noelle artwork. Here's what someone says: I don't feel any negativity from you. It's just genuinely become interesting for me. So if it's not a bother for you, could you please answer the question? And they said, I duplicated the canvas to lay the layers on top. And someone said, why did she leave the 3D models on the duplicated canvas? Surely she didn't create them same day after being asked for proof, right? Right? And someone says, so does date created not show when the canvas was created? And they said, when you duplicate it, it's considered as a new file. And they said, of course, you won't show the original canvas. And they said, or can you look at when it was duplicated? What date would that be? And that's a valid concern, right? Why wouldn't you just show the original canvas at that point then? Why are you showing a duplicated one? Makes absolutely no sense. Just show the actual regular project file itself. It's not that hard, buddy. It's not that hard. Why are you jumping through all these hoops? Makes no sense. So one of the things that a lot of people have started to become more aware to, or at least aware of, is something called Synth ID. It is basically a way to try and watermark AI generated images. It's pretty much, I don't know the full nitty gritty of it, but this person does provide some screenshots showcasing a little bit more information in regards to what it is. It says, what is Synth ID and what does it enable? It says Synth ID is an invisible watermarking technology that embeds a signal directly into generated media. Unlike metadata, the signal is part of the image itself and may persist throughout some edits or transformations. Synth ID provides an additional provenance signal alongside C2PA metadata. And so then they're showcasing some proof of this artwork being thrown into this Synth ID checker of sorts, this tool. And so showcasing says this content was created using OpenAI tools. The signal below provides support and evidence for this result. And another one, and another one, and yeah. And that's kind of like now the biggest thing. Realistically, I think that this would be a lot more reliable in the grand scheme of things with Synth ID and following that than just some random website that's just a quote unquote AI art checker. Those are not accurate. Furthest thing from it. Now, granted, you could always say, hey, what is the chances that these tools are accurate? But I don't find that these would be anything in any way, shape, or form to be as deceptive or misleading. I would at least try to understand that this is probably has some backing and some credibility behind it, being that OpenAI, it literally is AI, right? And they generate tools and they can literally insert these type of things so that they can track and trace where these things are. So, I mean, of course, always take it as you will. If you don't have to believe it, go do your own research then. But that is another thing that people have been pointing out as well too. Also, this is a website you would like to check out for yourself. It's going to be openai.com/research/verify. And this is where you can go and throw images into here and see if it was generated with ChatGPT or something similar of that kind. Again, check it out. That's where you can find it. So continuing on, here's some more stuff that happened within the artist's Telegram. This was right here. It says she keeps digging herself deeper on Telegram. She says the textures caused the detection and showed a lot of layers, but they're just color corrected layers and not the actual art. Yet even a screenshot of the black and white version still detects a Synth ID watermark. Thoughts? And so this is supposed to be, I guess, one of their time lapses, or not time lapse, but project files showcasing their layers and how they work. So this is supposed to be one of their artworks. The way that they work is this. This is apparently how it works. That's how they do their artwork. I brother, no matter how many different techniques and ways artists have to do things, this is by far the weirdest way I've seen it. I've never seen anyone work on art in this way at all. Just constant duplicates and just throwing shit on top of the same duplicated layer over and over and over. It's possible. Anything is possible. How many artists exist in this world? But you can't help but just be like, brother, what is this? What the hell is this, man? But that's supposed to be some more of their proof. Another part right here. This is supposed to be the artwork. People are saying you can go take it. throw it into OpenAI's verifier. Go see for yourself. But it says this content was generated using OpenAI tools. Signals below provide supporting evidence for this result. And then right here, when talked about it, they say, let's say that he's complaining about this one. I'll try to find the photos I use for the rocks and grass for the texture on this one that's drawn. Well, here's only the layers of the paint remain because I paint using a gradient map. And someone said, why do you have a completely finished black and white drawn and not one drawn with the same number of layers as the processing layers on top? You have dozens of layers on your streams even. And then they say it I wrote above. At the end of the work, I merge all the layers to sharpen the overall picture and add noise. And then they said, so you don't have the same example of layers as in the stream of any of your art? And they said, no, I do this to all my art, but as I understand, this is a big mistake. So what they're claiming, what they're saying is, once they finish actually completing the artwork and drawing it, then they just merge it completely. They just merge all the things that they have done into a finished piece. Okay, sure, that's possible. There are artists who do that, sure, but I would say that that's still very... that's not the common sentiment. Again, they could be really skilled. Maybe they are just really that goated, and if they happen to need to change something, they can just alter the finished piece itself and then go change it like that. But usually you will keep layers. You will not merge every single fucking thing known to mankind out there. The only reason I could ever give a potential idea behind it, and this is being super charitable and there's already a caveat that you can already work around this, but let's say it's because of Procreate's layer limits, and so they just merge it all because of how many layers is on the project session. If their iPad is so weak that it can't even record time lapses apparently, then they have to merge layers. But typically what you do is you just duplicate the same project file, and then you have on the duplicated one, you merge all the layers there. That way on the previous one, you still have all the actual layers intact so that you can go and access it again if you ever need it. If you didn't ever think about that, there you go. Use that in the future, whatever you want to do. But that's an easy way to go around Procreate's layer limits. That is something that artists actually do. If they have too many layers for one project that they're working on, they'll duplicate it, and then they'll have a second project that they'll just use to continue adding more layers. Is it efficient? No, but if you're using Procreate and that's what you like to use, and this is really the only thing you can do about it. But yeah, now moving on to the final thing I want to talk about, they did say that they were going to stream their entire process and them working on art. Well, here's their stream that we can look at right here. This is a stream that went on for 1 hour and 21 minutes. It starts off with them showcasing the 3D model on the backdrop. This is what they're going to trace to get the body, everything all set up for the pose, etc., etc. Now, this is, mind you, an artist that said that they work very fast and that people tend to get very confused. Remember, they are confused by the speed of my work and the fact that I don't post speed paints. Keep that in mind. So we continue on here. This is how they work. We're going to speed this up immensely just to get a little idea of how we're working, how we're going about things. Take this as you will. I'm not gonna play all of this, of course. No shot, dog. This video will be way too long. It's already long as it is. But here's some of this. We'll fast forward a little bit, skip ahead. Just give you a little idea of their process, or at least how they work. Continuing on. Trying to go to parts that are at least active. Something's going on. I'm trying my best, dog. I'm trying my best. We're just going to fast forward. So we go from, I guess, the first major changes around here. They got the body drawn. At least they got the hands. They got like the overall shape of the pose and outfit ready to go. And then from here, then they start doing stuff with the background. And so from here, then you go from 30-minute mark. This is about the progress they made in 30 minutes to an hour and 21 minutes. This is what we have so far. Now, whether or not you think that that's quality or that it happens to match this or potentially can lead to something looking like this, up to you. They also had a part 2, which Part two, I'll be honest, I didn't see much of a difference. This is how the stream started. We were at the very beginning of the stream. Um, Trying to see if they had any part where you can see it like zoomed out in any way, shape, or form. Not really. I guess it's like the closest you have. And then you fast forward towards the end of the stream, and this is how it looks. Now, whether or not you think that this is still quality work of someone spending so far 2+ hours working on this, up to you. Also using 3D model that they trace in the background as assistance to, I guess, speed up, which is what people were, I guess, confusing. They didn't realize, oh, because they use 3D models, that's why they're working way faster than, someone else who would have done it from scratch. Don't know. Just a random guess, I guess. But yeah, that was their part two. They haven't done a part three of their stream yet, but go into some of the comments because they also posted the, I guess, a speed up version of them working on it. And then this is supposed to be like their gotcha for moment for everyone. Like, look at that, guys. See, look at that. Look at that. Oh my God, they're actually drawing. Like, that's what this is supposed to be. But someone said, just show the layers of the art with Crystal. Why are you avoiding the question? And they said, can I just DM you? It's nighttime now, but I'm ready to talk to you calmly in the morning if you feel comfortable. And then they said, right here, why DM? Just open Procreate, take a screenshot of the layers of the art with Crystal, and everyone will leave you alone. What's so difficult about that? And a lot of people, of course, it's a rightful thing to say, right? Why post it to someone in a DM? Why not just make it public, call it a day, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore? And then someone said we continue streaming this piece, and they said yes, they will. This says the AI detectors aren't accurate. Argument is only going to last you so long until more people find out what Synth ID actually is and why it's detected in several of your drawings. Synth ID detection has only a 0.1% false positive rate. Says, by the way, guys, pay close attention to the speed paint if they later try to claim that they only use one layer to paint, because clearly they don't. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people are calling it out, replying back. And then people are also talking about it as well, too. But yeah, very interesting situation. Wanted to talk about this. Found it very fascinating. Normally with these AI bros, there's really not much to be seen. There's not much proof. The things that they do try to show as proof is really laughable. This one isn't someone that I believe is an artist in some way, shape, or form, or at least they try to be an artist, but then they start to get to a really AI assisted workflow and using AI heavily. That's just kind of my takeaway so far. Could be off the mark. Maybe they just, all those drawings that I saw in the past, they didn't even do that either. I don't think that's the case. I kind of doubt that. I think that would be going way beyond anything that I think anyone would ever try to do to prove that they have made art. But I do think that the way that things are showcased in here, AI is probably used in some way, shape, or form, and the fact that they're being so shy and candid from trying to even show any layers, and every explanation they've tried to give up to this point has been very sketchy and questionable at best. It's not a good look, because at the end of the day, all you could have done was just showing your layers, say, here you go, guys, leave me alone. If you really want to, that's all you had to do. If you really want to show your track record, showcase all your art that you've shown in the past 1 to 2 years. There, you're done. You don't do any of that. You go all these roundabout ways of trying to explain things on, oh, well, actually, this is why it's actually happening. And no, no, man. It's not helping you at all. But I'm going to leave it here. This video's gone on way long enough. Let me know what you think in the comment section below.